Hey guys, so a little bit of a last minute video. Been feeling kind of under the weather lately and didn't really want to take a video whilst I was working, but figured, you know what, I'll grab a little bit of the install here. But basically today I'm going to be swapping out this grill and we're going to be doing something with what is inside that box right there. So there's nothing wrong with this one. It's quite a nice design as far as I like the sleek spears with a smooth Mercedes emblem rather than the mesh in the middle on the sides around the middle star here. And obviously the AMG emblem is a nice little touch. However, for those of you that followed my C450 build, you'll know that I did the Pan America slatted grill, whatever you want to call it, the one that looks like jail bars. And I think it's going to look really nice on here with what I'm going to be installing on all four corners in an upcoming video. So stay tuned for that. But for today, I'm going to be doing the grill. So this is going to necessitate taking off the whole front bumper. And to allow me to do that, I did already jack the car up, put some plates underneath to give me a little bit of access, raise the car up a touch so I could get my jack under the front. I'm going to raise it up here and yeah, I'm going to be ready to go here. All right, so just to show you guys what I did, I jacked it up. I have some jacking pads just beneath the jacking points right on the sides here because they're kind of weird. I don't know why they designed them in such a way. They're like a hollowed out square. So my axle stands don't really fit straight up against them. So I have a puck. You can buy them off Amazon. They're like a circular shape with a square top that fits into that. So I have my little pucks, then the axle stands. And in addition to that, I have a central jacking stand right beneath the front central jacking point here, just in case anything was to happen with either one of those stands. The car is not going to come down on top of me. So just a little bit of backup there. Because I'm going to be working at the front, I've just got to take the belly pan, all these screws at the front loose, and there's not too much to undo. So I'm going to take the wheels off, and yeah, I'll be able to start going at the bumper screws at the top. So I've almost finished getting the clips from inside the fender. If you don't have one of these tools, highly recommend this. Very cheap, Amazon, like $5. The amount of times I've used this tool, I can't even count. It's just these little push pins. Sometimes they're really difficult to get underneath the edge. And this is perfect because it just gives you that leverage so you can just snap it right out. So there's 3 in here. So I have 1, 2, this is the 3rd, and then there's actually 1 underneath right here, which will need to come out. So these are almost done, and then I can move on to the belly pan. So I was working on these belly pan bolts. These are just like a 8mm, and get all of these out, and then I'll be able to work on the bolts that are on the top side near the engine. And I've also got to get inside the fender liner. So just a few more bolts to go. Just work on these ones underneath. Notice I am not underneath the car, just my arm is. Still don't trust, even with axle stands, I still don't trust them. So I'm trying to stay out of the underneath of the car if I can. So I'm going to get these finished up and then we'll move on to the fender liners. All right, so the belly pan is removed. I just threw a yoga mat underneath so that when I pull this bumper off, I'll be able to just rest it on that rather than having to go all the way down to the floor with it. And now that this is nice and loose, there's 1 screw and another one identical about 6 inches back that needs to come loose. So those 2 will be removed. This will be separated from the fender, and then I can do the top bolts, and then we should be ready to remove it. So I'm going to get these bolts on both sides. Okay, so everything underneath is removed, all the screws. I just took the 3 T25 Torx screws from the top here, and also the one that's on each side, kind of tucked in the corner. So I think at this point, I'm ready to drop this bumper forward. I don't think I'm going to have any electrical harnesses to unsnap because I don't have fog lights. I don't have the front parking sensors, and I don't have the front camera. So I don't think there'll be any electrical stuff, but I may be wrong. So hopefully I can just ease this forward, because I only need enough access just to get to the back of the grill here. So I just want to lift it forward 7 to 10 inches so I can just get it on the mat here and access the back. So let's go for the removal. Okay, so as you can see, front bumper is off. And no surprises, it was pretty straightforward. I just had to carefully move it one side at a time. As you can see, I've put a moving blanket on here just to make sure the sides here don't scratch up any of the headlights or the paint. And the only thing that was different from my C450 was the Distronic emblem, which has this assembly on the back of it. And what I figured out, I had no idea this was even there until I moved the bumper away, was this whole top piece here rotates out, and there's a small little locking tab here. So I used my pick tool to just depress that, and it allowed me to just re-rotate the whole assembly out. So I didn't have to fiddle with the electrical connector, because I was having a really hard time reaching this connector to try and unsnap it. So that was straightforward. Removed that, and now as you can see, I've got full access to the back. So I'm probably going to have to just pop this weather stripping off, remove any of the shrouding, and then I'll be able to access the various clips on the back of the grill. So we're almost there. The new grill's coming out in just a moment, so hang with me. Let's get this factory grill removed. So I just removed this foam insulator piece and then popped off this kind of shrouding here. This is just on push clips, so you don't need to use any tools. And it just goes all the way underneath the weather stripping and around the bottom here. So now I have access to the clips that secure the grill. And I think I should be able to use just a flathead screwdriver to pop these out. So let's go for that with a flathead and see if we have success. Front grill is removed. Sorry for the croaky voice. Kind of fighting a cold. I'm still pushing through. So yeah, the front grille, super simple, just a bunch of clips. The smaller ones, which are body colored on the back. And then there is also the larger black clips that are on the underside here, a little bit higher up. And they're just on the top side. So you undo all the blue ones at the bottom, and then on the top, you've got the blue and the black. And once they're all unsnapped, just start at one side and working my way across. It was, pretty straightforward. All I needed was this large flathead just to give me some extra push on those black clips, because they were pretty strong actually. They've got a little locking tab on the top, so I had to really push hard at the same time as pulling on it without breaking things. So anyway, that's off. The new grill's there. Going to get it out and swap the emblem over. So here she comes, the new grill. So old grill is removed, and I went to remove the factory Distronic emblem, and I did the proper procedure where you just kind of depress this little tab here, or actually you lift it up slightly so that it releases the emblem and allows you to rotate this counterclockwise and remove it. And I don't know if this was already pre-cracked or whether I did it, but I did not use a ton of force, but somehow the black plastic completely cracked. You can see it right there beneath the part number. So I got this clean split, which is hard to pick up on camera. Oh, there you go, you can see it. So I got a clean split in the black plastic right there. And it's a little bit sharp to the touch. So I wasn't about to put broken parts back on the car. So what I did was I went down to my local Mercedes dealership, and they had one available. So this was the part number, which is interesting because this part number is actually different from the part number on the back, because I referenced that part number when I gave them a phone call, and they said, well, that part number doesn't match your VIN. So they went through the parts catalogue for my car by VIN number and pulled the correct part number. So I've already had it out of the box. It is 100% identical. And yeah, so I'm going to be installing this brand new Mercedes emblem, and I'll hopefully be able to get the grill install finished up. So the new emblem is looking really nice. I will say these aftermarket grills are super tight when it comes to installing a factory emblem. Maybe the replica emblems fit a lot better with the aftermarket grills, but the factory emblem in an aftermarket grill is super tight. The little tabs that have to rotate into place, you'll get it to about like here with this top spoke. You'll get it to about here. The last little bit, it's not going to go with your hand. I tried and tried for like 20 minutes. So what I ended up doing was I got a small little plastic drift and put it on the back, on the very edge of one of the little locating tabs, because it has one here and one here. And I tapped it using a very small nail hammer to rotate it that last 5 degrees or so and get it to snap in. So that was definitely nerve-wracking, because had I have broken that, that was a $285 emblem. I kid you not. Those Distronic emblems that are special because they accept the Distronic electrical device on the back. So obviously there's something about the plastic that is used here for it to detect at the front. So anyway, finally got it in place. I'm so happy. I do have the AMG emblem that will be going on at the end. My bumper is absolutely covered in fingerprints and it's looking gross, but that'll all be detailed once the whole project is finished. So I'm really happy we've got this far. And yeah, the next step will be to slide the bumper back on. But I do have to put all of these little pieces back on, such as the Distronic detector and the foam pieces, and also the shrouding that goes on the top. So I'll do those little things first, and then I'll be ready to put the bumper on. So here's where we're at. Everything on the back of the bumper is completely reassembled. That foam isolator piece or shock absorber piece in the middle was really hard to get in. I couldn't get those clips on each side to engage. So I actually had to just flip the bumper on its face to allow me to get it on there. For whatever reason, they were really difficult for me to get them to snap in. But everything else is fine. No real issues with any of the other pieces with the shrouding and stuff. And it's ready to go back on. Everything's fully done. I did take the time just to clean these little cracks here, and same for here and here, and yeah, just so that once everything's back on. Same for inside the grill. I cleaned the rubbers all on the inside here before I installed them, so when you look through the grill, even though this will all be dark once the bumper's installed, this will still at least be a nice clean starting point. I mean, obviously it's going to get dirty over time, but at least it's a nice clean starting point with the new grill. So, yeah. Looking good. Looking good. I like that. So I'll get back with you guys later on. I'm going to go have some dinner, and then I will resume the bumper install. So here's where we're up to. I just got back to it after dinner, and I hung the front bumper back onto the front of the car. I really went crazy with the masking tape just to be sure, because I was doing it on my own. I wanted to make sure I didn't accidentally scratch anything from coming too high on the sides. But as soon as these three kind of got a grip on these, they've got little kind of grooves here. So once it starts to go into the slot, it grips. And as soon as I got those located, I was then able to go around and just kind of push the bottom so that it slipped into place. There's those 2 screws on the underside that I talked about, the 10mm bolts that are kind of either side of the radiator. You just need to make sure that they slide into their position, and then the whole middle of the bumper kind of slides in nicely. And then obviously just making sure that clearance is good around the sides of the light here, that you don't pinch the headlights. You want it to go behind because it's very tight, the gaps here. So everything's set up nicely. I still need to go in. All the bolts need replacing, and yeah, get it all kind of finalized and tightened up. I do have something else coming today that's not just the grill. I'm going to be doing something else, but for now, I'm just going to finish doing the front bumper here and getting this all finished up. So yeah, I'm going to keep cranking with it. All the screws are done. I made sure I got everything back in the same spot as far as the gap for the hood. So everything is exactly where it was. All of the lights here, everything is nice and tight. And yeah, everything's the way it was before. Everything's nice and even. You know, the fenders going into the front bumper here, these are all smooth. So I do have this, which goes one row up and the second slat, which is here. These come with adhesive on the bottom of them. So the intention is that you just stick it down like so on that slat. I don't like the way that looks. Number one, this is way too long, so it sticks out really far past the back of the grille. Second of all, it's not an exact fit for the space. So you have space on either side of the kind of the tab that sticks through. So what I've done in the past, and I'll be doing here, is I mark the exact cut of where this finishes at the back of the grille with a Sharpie. I Dremel cut all the way across so that it's exactly the right length. And then I put 2 pieces of 3M strips on here, and I stick it to the underside of that slat. And that way it gives you a very seamless install once it's done. These actually have a ridge to the underside. At the very front here, this isn't completely smooth. It's hard to see, but there is a little ridge. So that's why I use 2 pieces of 3M. I actually double stack it. So I do 2 square-shaped pads, one on top of the other. And 3M sticks to itself fantastically well. So there's no issues with it ever coming loose. I did the same thing on the C450, and it was great for the 3 years that I had it. Never moved, always rock solid. So 2 little squares of 3M, and then boom, right there in its spot. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to mark and cut with my Dremel, put my 3M tape, use a little bit of prep spray, you know, like a wax and grease remover, and then boom, stick this on. So yeah, I'll be back with you in a second. All right, so here is my creation. This is my modified AMG Grille emblem. So I cut it down to size so that it now finishes at the same length as the back of this slat. And I also completely removed the pre-applied 3M that was on the underside. I took that off, I used some Goo Gone and cleaned it so that there's no more adhesive whatsoever. And then I double stacked some genuine 3M tape on at the back here. Because this has a ridge on the underside here that goes quite a few millimeters back, I can't put any 3M tape near the front because it would interfere. It wouldn't give me a flat surface to stick on. So I went just behind where the ridge is. And then obviously also you want it to be invisible once it's stuck. So it'll be something like that. I'll make sure that it's exactly in the middle, nice and squared up on the slats, and give it a really firm stick. And yep, we should be good to go. I'll preheat the adhesive in a second once I peel this off, and then I'll give it a good press and hold for 30 seconds, and it should be there, yeah, permanently. And we'll be going, just to get it correct, it will be the second one over and yeah, one up. So this is the exact position it will be in. So yeah, I'm going to get my heat gun and stick it on. So it's the next day, and yeah, everything looks great at the front. Really pleased. The front bumper looks 100 times better with the Pan America style grille. I really like the gloss black and the chrome together because it just kind of matches what's on the car. And the brand new Mercedes emblem looks super clean. The last one did have some peeling to the chrome. It was kind of bubbling a little bit. So it's really nice to get a fresh emblem, even though it did cost me nearly $300. And obviously the AMG emblem there, just like the factory grille had an AMG emblem on this side. That looks really nice. I'm really pleased with how it came out. So anyway, the front lip, I've been running this now for the last couple of weeks since I installed it. And one thing that I've been fighting is my dislike for the turn-ups at the side here, because they're just a bit big, and I just don't think they really flow with the car all that well. They're all maybe they're just a bit too much. So I ordered another lip to try. I'm not sure how the fitment's going to be. It looks good in the pictures. It's a one piece. I don't like the multi-piece ones. It's a one piece. And it is carbon fiber, but I'm going to try it out, see how it looks. I'm going to remove this one carefully so that if I don't like the fitment, I can always put this back on. But I'm going to try it out. So I'm going to remove this carefully, and then we'll test fit the new one. So it's actually a few days later, and I just wrapped up the video installing the carbon fiber side vents. But I wanted to get some video footage just to talk about the carbon fiber lip that I installed at the same time as the grill. Now I did touch on it on the carbon fiber air vent video. I talked about how I wasn't really feeling the C43 Brabus diffuser that I'd installed just because of the big fins that it has on the sides. So what I decided was to go with this carbon fiber lip from Extreme Online Store, which, as you can see, has these kind of 4 little mounting feet in the middle, and then it has these little bumps or turn-ups at the sides where it meets the sides of the front bumper. So this one is real carbon fiber. It's not hydro dipped. The price was pretty reasonable. It was about $425 if I remember correctly, and that did come from California, so it came really quickly. And the quality is really nice. Obviously time will tell with carbon fiber to see how long it lasts as far as the finish goes, but considering my car lives in the garage when I'm not driving it, it's not going to get hammered from the sun, so hopefully it lasts a really long time. And one of the nice things about this lip is it's not overly deep. You know, I've got just about a hand's clearance at the front, so as far as living with this and driving with it now that my car is lowered, I'll just have to be careful when it comes to curbs. You know, obviously ground clearance isn't going to be an issue for speed bumps, but if I go up to a curb too closely, I'll definitely end up messing the lip up. So that's the only thing I need to be careful of, is curbs really. I think normal road driving, I'm not low enough to have any issues with it. But one of the things I really like about the design is those 4 little mounting feet match up with the vertical slats of the GTR grille. I think they kind of complement each other really well. We'll just talk a little bit about the fitment. I didn't make an install video because it was just too straightforward, but basically each of these mounting feet have got a little recessed, you see there, the circular recessed hole, and it has a pre-drilled hole in the center. So it's super easy. You just put a self-tapper through each of those. And then there is one recessed hole right near the side there where it goes in at the corner. So basically 6 screws holds the whole thing. There was no need for any 3M tape. I just put a little bit of 3M to actually hold it in its position before I put the self-tappers in. And I found the best way to get this lined up was I just started at one side, and then I actually used my low profile jack to put a little bit of pressure on it to hold it up against the bumper. And then I just checked both sides were equidistant, because the bumper does flex. So even if it doesn't look like it's finishing tight against it, as soon as you put a screw in, it actually pulls the bumper and the splitter together so that they meet, because you can see the clearance is really nice and tight. And the same goes for the bottom. There's no daylight between the splitter and the bottom of the bumper. So it looks, you know, it looks OEM. It looks like you could have bought it from the factory with this optional carbon lip. I think it's a nice complement to the front without it being too much. So yeah, just wanted to include that bit of information for anybody else who's looking to do a nice lip on the front of their 2019 and newer C-Class. This is the carbon fiber Extreme Online lip. So yeah, I think that rounds out the grill install video. I've given you guys a good bit of install footage, and obviously there are other videos out there that already show the process, but I wanted to get it on camera to just include it with my kind of build series that I'm doing on this car. And anyone else who's thinking of doing something similar to their C-Class, can kind of follow along. So thank you as always for tuning in. I greatly appreciate anyone who leaves a comment or even subscribes. You guys are awesome. And I'll be back really soon with some more project footage.